This is Manhattan, one of the most iconic places in the world, and now, the epicenter of a federal criminal trial, shaking the very core of American pop culture. This is the story of Sean "Diddy" Combs, a story that spans decades, influence, fame, and power. But now, the headlines read differently. Sex trafficking, racketeering, witness intimidation, and physical abuse. For years, Combs reigned as hip-hop royalty. His empire included multi-platinum records, fashion lines, spirits, and global influence. But behind the glamour, the prosecution alleges, was a dark empire fueled by fear, drugs, and exploitation. This isn't just a celebrity trial. It's a cultural reckoning. Over the next hour, we will walk through every week of this historic trial. Each chapter peels back another layer of secrecy, celebrity, and survival. May 5th, 2025. Judge Aaron Subramanian sets the stage. The trial of Sean Combs is officially scheduled to begin the following week. This isn't just a criminal trial. It's the culmination of years of whispers, lawsuits, payouts, and pain. By May 12th, the courtroom buzzed with tension. Jury selection began under extreme security. Given Combs's fame and influence, jurors were kept anonymous. 12 jurors and 6 alternates were seated by the end of the week. The prosecution opened with a shocking narrative. For over 2 decades, they claimed, Combs orchestrated a shadow operation. Women were allegedly trafficked under the guise of consensual relationships. They were drugged, filmed, and coerced into sexually explicit scenarios referred to as freak-offs. Then came the trial's first lightning strike. Cassie Ventura, once the platinum-haired singer romantically linked to Combs, took the stand. Cassie's testimony was devastating. She described years of physical, psychological, and emotional abuse. She recalled being punched, dragged, and even stomped on by Combs. Jurors were shown a shocking surveillance video, Combs physically attacking Cassie in a hotel hallway in 2016. That video had been kept hidden for years, allegedly buried with a $100,000 bribe to a hotel employee. Cassie broke down in tears as she recalled being isolated, her phone monitored, and her career manipulated. She told the jury, control was everything to him. He needed to know where I was, who I was with, and what I was doing. Always. To counter this, the defense admitted Combs could be angry, but insisted their relationship was built on mutual interest in open relationships and consensual group sex. They argued that Cassie was now weaponizing old wounds to serve a financial agenda. But the prosecution wasn't done. Enter Dawn Richard, former Danity Kane member. She told the court about witnessing Combs striking Cassie with a frying pan in 2009. She recounted a chilling moment when Combs allegedly said, "People go missing." Dawn's testimony gave weight to Cassie's. It showed a pattern. It showed power wielded like a weapon. The defense tried to downplay it, but jurors were clearly shaken. Week 2 opened with intensity. Carrie Morgan, a longtime friend of Cassie, confirmed the emotional grip Combs had. She recalled frantic phone calls, confessions of fear, and nights spent comforting a traumatized woman. Then came the bombshell testimony of Kid Cudi. The Grammy-winning rapper claimed Combs once broke into his residence in 2011 over jealousy. A few weeks later, Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. He had long suspected foul play, and now, under oath, he pointed to Combs. The jury leaned in. The silence in the room was thick. The prosecution was painting a picture of a man not only abusive but vengeful and capable of orchestrating violence even against industry peers. Next came testimonies from hotel staff and multiple sex workers. One by one, they described the mechanics of Combs' parties. Escorts were recruited and paid through intermediaries. Some were flown in. Many were drugged. They described sexual performances conducted in front of groups, filmed and sometimes streamed privately. Some women were allegedly promised money or exposure. Others were threatened. One former escort broke into tears recounting how she was locked in a suite for 24 hours after refusing to perform. She described hearing arguments, the sound of blows, and watching another woman leave the room with bruises. The defense responded by calling all of this sensationalism. They said Combs had wealth and therefore attracted opportunists. They framed the hotel staff as disgruntled, the escorts as unreliable. But the testimonies were consistent and detailed. Week 2 closed with the jury visibly disturbed. Week 3 begins with the voice of a woman known in court only as Mia. She met Sean Combs in 2017. She was just 19 years old. He was in his late 40s. She tells the court it started like a fairy tale. Private cars, designer gifts, a promise of mentorship, of opportunity. He called her special, said she had potential. But just weeks later, the dream curdled. Mia recalls waking up in a luxury hotel suite, alone, naked, her body sore, her memory blurred. She didn't know how she got there, didn't know what had happened. But she says she knew one thing. Something wasn't right. She tells the court she was drugged, assaulted, then threatened. Her voice shakes as she describes being handed a document by a security guard, an NDA. She was told to sign, or she'd never work again. And so, she signed. Like so many others. The defense questions her credibility, suggests she went along willingly. But Mia never breaks. She looks directly at the jury and says, "I was a teenager. He was a legend. I didn't say yes. I was scared." The room falls silent. Then comes Brianna. She's a former dancer. She tells the court that she too met Diddy in what she thought was a professional setting. But what she describes next stuns the courtroom. She says she tried to leave a party at one of Diddy's private penthouse suites. She says she'd seen enough. Drugs, pressure, intimidation. But when she tried to exit, security blocked the elevator. So she ran. Through the hall, through the emergency stairs, through whatever door would open. She says she ended up on a rooftop balcony, pounding on the glass, screaming. At one point, she says she climbed over the railing, hanging onto the edge, convinced it was the only way to get someone's attention. "I thought I was going to die," she says, "and I thought if I didn't jump, he might kill me first." The courtroom is rattled. The judge calls for a recess, but the testimony doesn't stop. It's gaining momentum, because one by one more women are stepping forward. Each story adds weight, adds depth, adds proof, and the pattern is becoming impossible to ignore. The trial isn't slowing down, it's only getting darker. Week 4 saw the entrance of Jane, an anonymous ex-girlfriend of Combs from 2021 to early 2024. Her story was modern, fresh, and painful. Jane described being swept into a whirlwind romance. She said it quickly turned into coercion, surveillance, and drug-fueled freak-offs. She spoke about being forced to take ecstasy before being pressured into sex with strangers. She claimed Combs paid her rent to maintain leverage and threatened to release private videos if she didn't comply. The most gripping part of her testimony was the series of text messages she read aloud. Messages she sent to friends and family, describing fear, suicidal thoughts, and feeling like a prisoner. Jane also testified that even after the FBI raids in March 2024, Combs continued to host sex parties. She claimed he believed he was untouchable. "He told me, 'They won't touch me. I'm Diddy.'" The defense pushed for a second mistrial, accusing the government of using inflammatory testimony. But the judge allowed Jane to continue. Her final words echoed, "It wasn't love. It was control." Jane returned to the stand in week 5. This time with more detail, more emotion, more clarity. She recounted specific incidents where she tried to flee. Times she cut off contact only for Combs to send money, threats, or messengers. She read texts aloud. Messages to a family member saying she feared being killed. The judge issued a strict order. Jane's identity would remain sealed. Combs was warned again for attempting to make eye contact with jurors. At one point, Jane collapsed in the hallway outside court. She returned 20 minutes later and insisted on continuing. "I need people to know what he did," she said. The prosecution now had 5 weeks of consistent, overlapping, and corroborated testimony. But the defense, despite multiple failures, continued to frame everything as consensual. A toxic lifestyle, maybe. but not a criminal conspiracy. To date, 16 witnesses have taken the stand. They include Cassie Ventura, Jane under protection, Mia, former assistant Dawn Richard, Carrie Morgan, Kid Cudi, Brianna Bongolan, Capricorn Clark, 3 escorts, 2 hotel employees, 2 federal agents. Each has pointed to a web of control, not a single event, but a pattern, a lifestyle wrapped in luxury and fueled by fear. As of June 10th, the prosecution is expected to rest. The defense will soon begin calling witnesses, possibly including Diddy himself. Their strategy appears clear: undermine credibility, reframe events as consensual, and suggest jealousy or revenge. But in the court of public opinion, the damage may already be done. If convicted on the most serious charges, Combs could face a minimum of 15 years and a maximum of life in federal prison. But beyond prison time, this trial is forcing a much larger conversation about celebrity unchecked power and the people who stay silent when it's inconvenient to speak. This story is far from over. Stay tuned for part 2 as we examine the defense's case, public fallout, and what this trial could mean for the future of music, media, and justice. Which revelation shocked you most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more updates.